Hi everyone, Megan Smith here with CosMedic. So excited to be here today. I am COO, Senior Consultant with CosMedic, and just want to thank Sinclair for having me. So hopefully everyone's caffeinated. Yeah? Excited? Okay. So we're CosMedic Consulting. You heard from my business partner yesterday, Anna Delgado. So for those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I am Megan Smith. My background consists of about 16 years in the aesthetic industry. I'm 70, right? I always say that. But I was with Allergan for over 10 years. At my tenure there, I was so fortunate enough to be a global sales trainer where I was a leadership and emotional intelligence coach. So I was so fortunate enough to be able to not only teach the sales force, but the VPs, sales directors, on all things leadership, how to build their teams, and also taught the sales force how to become really the powerhouse that they are. So I apologize to any of my former Allergan reps that asked you for very large orders, because that was most likely for me. But it's super grateful. Left about a year and a half ago to relaunch CosMedic with Anna Delgado, who you guys saw yesterday, and really wanted to focus on all the practices. I don't believe that someone needs to be doing $20 million a year in revenue to have access to what we are going to be talking about today, okay? I believe it's fundamental for culture, for infrastructure, and really for what we do. Another little thing I love to say, as a coach, as a business coach, leadership coach, and consultant, we can't see the label from inside the bottle. And what does that mean? Sometimes it's very hard, especially as practice owners, as entrepreneurs, as providers, sometimes it's really hard for us to see what's going on. And when we look at leaders across the world, right, when we look at top athletes, we look at actors, singers, right, they all have coaches. So why don't we? Anna and I have a coach. Coaches have coaches. If you ever have a coach that doesn't have a coach, find another coach, right? But I always like to ask my crew who I'm speaking to is, do you have a coach? And are you working with someone, right? Because it matters, okay? So we're gonna kick this off. So of 33 workforce skills that were tested to predict performance, and this is not just sales. I want you guys to understand this is lawyers, doctors, surgeons, this is everybody. What do you think is the strongest predictor of performance? I think we probably know the answer, because it's already teased it a little bit, but problem solving, conflict resolution, self-awareness, resilience, ethics, all of these are so important attributes to make you and your team and people more successful. But the number one workforce skill that was found to predict performance was emotional intelligence, okay? How many of you heard of emotional intelligence before? Great, love it, okay? Have you had maybe a deep dive into it at some point? Okay, less, right? But I love that. I know one of my stars here is in the room, so we'll talk about that. So it's not just about maximizing profits, but I want to talk today on why are we here, right? Why are we having like a mini 20-minute therapy session here on a Saturday, okay? And why are we talking about the impact that EQ has on your practice? We always say 3 buckets. It allows you to keep and create your power tribe. Here at CosMedic, we say that your tribe is your vibe. So who you surround yourself with inside your practice and outside your practice matters, okay? Leveraging your potential team to turn them into multipliers. This is something that Anna and I are working exclusively on an entirely new boot camp that allows you to understand those multipliers, seeing the value of your staff members and capitalizing on that, right? It's very hard to find talent nowadays. I don't know if you guys would agree. It's been a rough road, especially here in South Florida, to find office managers, front desk, dental hygienists. It's difficult right now. So how can we leverage the people that you have that have a pulse and can show up and do the job, but how can we grow them, right, instead of kind of throwing them out? And then it all leads to patient retention. We talked about this yesterday. The gentleman before me talked about this. Patient retention is 50 to 60% of a practice's revenue. And I know Anna talked about this yesterday. I get asked every day, Megan, I need more patients in my practice. No, you don't. You need to find out why the ones that were with you before left. And as dentals, right, you guys have what? How many patients some of you guys see a week? I know, like 100 something. You guys have a database filled. Why are we not capitalizing on that? It's working smarter, not harder. But if we don't have the foundation, if we don't have a culture, if we don't have our own leadership within our practice, we really can't act like our $20 million practices a year. We can't necessarily act like these big companies that do things so well because we're not taking care of ourselves internally and showing up as the leader that we should be. So with that, we'll kind of go into what is EQ? okay? It's the ability to think, use, and manage emotions, to relieve stress, communicate more effectively, diffuse conflict, and it allows you to honestly feel better about yourself and what you're doing every day. It reduces stress for you, but it also reduces stress for those around you, okay? And it creates a better work environment. And this is, I'll make a quick note, this is for work and home, guys, okay? EQ is not work related. It is fundamentally a core of who you are. So if you're high in EQ, you're high in EQ in your personal relationships, and most likely you're professional as well, okay? So why does it matter? We talked about performance, organizational benefits, quality of life. Studies have shown that people that are high in EQ actually live longer, they have less stress, and they have less heart issues, okay? They handle things better. Better EQ, better you, better EQ, better organization, and better EQ, better team. So EQ is extremely unique, right? We have emotions a lot, and those emotions manifest in so many different ways, right? You get stressed out, who gets kind of clammy, anxiety, your heart starts to race, right? Maybe you shut down completely, and you're not able to think at that moment, right? You really need to take yourself out of that equation. So emotions are definitely unique, meaning EQ is unique. So why do we care? A competitive advantage. When we look at companies that focus on emotional intelligence, when we look at practices that focus on EQ within their practice, and we look at leaders and providers that focus on that, we see a huge competitive advantage. There are dental practices on every corner. There's med spas on every corner. You can get a coffee and Botox on the same corner, literally. Starbucks, Botox now, right? It's everywhere. So it's important now more than ever. It's not just about being the best injector, or the best dentist, or the best plastic, the best derm. It doesn't matter anymore, guys. Everyone has a great skill set, right, for the most part. People are successful for a reason. But what can we do to really set ourselves apart, right? And Anna talked a little bit about experience economy yesterday with patient retention, and how we do that is partially through emotional intelligence. It creates better job and bottom line, okay? So again, personally, happier life, but your brain actually changes. When you start to understand EQ, and we do these courses, by the way, this is like a 6-hour course that we do with teams. We're with a huge DSO group and corporate next week doing one, but it's a long journey. It's not just one day and, oh, I'm great at EQ, right? We have to keep working at it, but once you do, the brain does shift. And the things that used to bother you don't anymore. The way you behaved before and would get flustered and frustrated and yell at your assistant, yell at your husband, yell at your wife, you tend not to do that anymore because you've actually been working on something like a muscle, right? Called EQ a muscle. So it leads to a happier life. So why do we care, right? 75% of Fortune 500 companies use EQ to train their staff. If we want to be the best, we want to learn from the best, right? If the Allergans of the world, the Amazons of the world, the Marriott, the American Express, right? These are multi-billion-dollar companies that can choose to teach their sales force anything they want. And the number one thing that they teach them is emotional intelligence. So let that foster. These stats are amazing, I'm obsessed with them. 58% of a person's job performance, again, not sales. These are lawyers, doctors, surgeons, right? The guy at FedEx, doesn't matter, right? 58% of a job performance is based on emotional intelligence. People who are higher in EQ make about $30,000 more a year than their low EQ counterparts. And this number was 17,000 5 years ago. Hello, inflation. But my point is it keeps moving, it keeps going, okay? 90% of high performers already have high EQ, okay? So something to why do we care, right? At the end of the day, I always look at it internally. I want to be a better version of myself. I want to live longer. I want to be happier. I want to walk into work happy. I don't want to work in anger. I don't want my staff to be angry, right? But at the end of the day, having high EQ leads to more money, and it leads to a better life. So there's no reason that any of us in this room should not care about this. So I love this case study. L'Oreal actually did one, so where they actually hired salespeople based solely on EQ. They didn't look at their past resume. They didn't look at sales experience. They didn't look at anything except emotional intelligence. What they found is those people that were hired solely on EQ outsold their counterparts by $90,000 a year, creating an additional $2.6 million for that sector for L'Oreal. That is huge. And another thing that they found is that 63% of people that are high in EQ are less likely to leave their job because they go through challenges better, right? They understand how to process conflict and how to have a better response. Is this some cool numbers though, right? Do we like this? I would love to make an extra 2.6 mil a year, right? I'm pretty sure. I'd like to make like $1 of that. But it's really important that we know that this is working. So what makes a person shine over the other? How many of you have met people in your life that you're just like, whether it's on stage or maybe you see them on TV, social media, but you're just like, that person has it, right? Whatever it is, they have it. How many of you have met people like that throughout your life, right? You're like, wow, this person's a star. It's a combination of three things, right? We have IQ, how smart you are, personality, and the third bucket is emotional intelligence. What's interesting about these things is that 2 out of the 3 can't be changed. We can't really grow an IQ. You could study, you can try, great, but you're kind of, if you're a genius, you're a genius. If you're not, right? Personality. We can't change personality. I'm still single. I have tried, guys. Okay, like I literally am trying all the time. I'm like, he's so nice, but like he's boring. You know what I mean? I've tried. It's not working. You cannot change someone's personality. But what you can change is EQ. EQ is a muscle. It is the only out of all 3 of these attributes that you can actually work on and get better, okay? So it's so important. So these are the 4 quadrants, okay? And again, guys, this is a quick 20-minute chat, but we go into huge deep dives in this into our leadership course. But it's just something to think about, okay? We see personal and social. So what I see, so the first quadrant is self-awareness, and then what I do is self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. So we're gonna kind of break it down. And this will hopefully leave you guys with what I did is a quick overview of what it is, and then 3 things you can do to make it better, okay? And I want you to think, as we're talking about this, what your strength is out of the 4 quadrants, and what your area of opportunity is out of those 4 quadrants. So self-awareness, foundation of EQ. It's your ability to identify your own emotions. I'm angry. I'm mad. Women typically have an easy job of doing this. My males in the room are like, don't talk and shut down, right? But women do that as well, right? I always make a joke, but you'll know when a woman's upset, right? We'll tell you. But how you tend to respond in specific situations, right? And it's understanding those emotions and being able to say, I'm really upset right now. I'm aggravated, I'm frustrated because, and then we go into the self-management phase. But a lot of people sometimes don't have the self-awareness. And I always say, if everyone around you is always the jerk, I'll be PC today, then you're usually the jerk, right? If you're constantly losing clients, if you're constantly losing staff, and you can't keep someone, or you complain about your friends, like, it's you, bro. Like, that's why I said, I'm like, it's time to look on the inside, right? So 3 tips, though, to improve on this no matter what, right? Because again, EQ, no matter how great you are at self-awareness, you still have to work on it. Observe the ripple effect. If I say something to one of my team members and I know immediately she's shutting down, I have to observe that and take that into, wow, okay, I did something wrong there. And how do I feel when I'm stressed out? How do I feel when I feel angry? And then how can I calm myself down a little bit? Stop and ask yourself why you do what you do and why you're angry at certain things. Why is your office manager, you're just so frustrated at certain things? Why are you so upset about your husband not taking out the trash? It's more than that, okay? You have to understand why. Again, I'm single, guys, so I don't know. But don't have a husband that takes out the trash. But, if I did, I'm sure I'd be annoyed if he didn't. So seek feedback, right? So we have amazing anonymous surveys that we do here that we pull our entire team. You guys don't even get to see the responses. We do, and we download that information. So it's true anonymous from yourself and your entire staff, and it's amazing what we can find through that. 99% of working adults report not having worked with one person that's not been self-aware. We always say, are you the mold, right? We live in Florida here, so for us, you have a piece of mold, what happens when you don't fix it? Spreads, okay? Toxic. We all have that one person I'm sure you guys have worked with in your career that was like toxic moments. And that breeds, it's like a cancer, right? It spreads. So we wanna go in and fix that. And I always ask, where do you fit in? Could you be part of the problem? And then that's fine. If you think you could be, I can help you. It's the ones that don't think that they're part of the problem that we tend to have an issue with. Self-management, the ability to keep cool under pressure, resisting the desire to speak out. And our brain's hardwired for emotions, you guys. This is why Bravo's still in business and every housewife and all the trash reality shows exist. People love drama, but it's how we can manage it, right? This is my area of opportunity. I'm great at self-awareness. I know if I'm being aggravated or if I'm being loud. Problem is, sometimes for me, I don't care. I keep going, right? And my voice continues to get louder. But it's that self-management phase that I've had to work on. So make your goals public. This is what our Fortune 500 companies do. They tell people on their teams, right? Anna and I always have this conversation, okay, how did I do this week? How was I? It's a check-in, right? We always wanna make sure that we're asking for feedback. Smile and laugh more. If you're constantly getting frustrated and you kind of have that boiling point, maybe you're a little bit of a hothead, I'm not kidding, if you just kind of take a minute and smile and laugh, it will diffuse. So if you see me in the corner at any point the rest of the day just like smiling, just know that I'm trying to calm myself down. Like if I look a little crazy, like rocking myself in the corner, that's me just trying to bring it down. But it works. And control your self-talk. The issue is not as big as you think it is, right? And we need to make sure that we're controlling that self-talk. Social awareness, the ability to see what's going on around everyone else, being able to observe the obvious and non-obvious, knowing how to read the room. I speak on stages all across the country, I have for years. If everyone's asleep and I continue to talk, that's not good. I'm not reading the room. If I'm talking to a client and he's constantly checking his watch and I continue to keep talking at him, I'm not reading the room. He has somewhere to go, right? So tips on this, on social awareness, step into their shoes. If you have a staff member that you're having trouble with, I always ask, I had this issue yesterday with one of our girls on our team. She's not here today, but I didn't know her dad was sick. I asked specifically, I was like, girl, you're not high energy today. Something's wrong. What is wrong? And she's like, I'm so sorry. My dad's in the hospital. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? She's like, because it's not an excuse. I'm like, no, but it allows me to lead with empathy. Now I have a completely different talk track. So instead of me going in at her and being annoyed, because my self-management was a little yesterday, right? I was aggravated. But now I knew why, so I was able to lead with empathy, okay? So step into that. Watch body language, you guys. When you talk to your team members, if you're delivering something, you know, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So if you're delivering something and they shut down, they start looking at their shoes, they become really uncomfortable. Clearly you're delivering that message wrong. And if you're not knowing your audience, that's gonna be troublesome to really building that team. And again, have you ever watched it, just see your team work? We talked about this yesterday, okay? Anna brought it up on stage. Fly on the wall. 5 minutes. What is the MA? How are the two dental hygienists interacting? How are the two, like when no one's watching? And send in a secret shopper, right? I love to send in a friend that my offices don't know and see how they get treated and get honest feedback. So for social awareness, the tips, listen to what, how, watch body language, ask questions, right? Like I did yesterday with one of my team members. Are you okay? Something seems off. It's okay, right? Relationship management. This is the most advanced of EQ. It's the ability to manage interactions constructively, handling conflict well, communicate effectively, okay? So this takes a long time to get, perfect at, and there's always room for growth. I always tell my physicians and my leaders, we want an open door policy. If a staff member feels like they can't talk to me about something, that is on me. That is my fault as a leader, okay? They should be able to be completely transparent with me at all times. Be willing to take feedback. Feedback for me is absolutely huge. I ask every client I work with, I ask every team member, I ask every person, if you ever talk to me for longer than 15 minutes on a Zoom call, I will always ask you, how was that? What can I do better? How can I make this better? What can I do? Right? You have to ask for that. And I love the last one, align your intention with impact. A lot of times our intentions are pure. We just want to be better at what we do. We want to be efficient. We want our patients to be happier, right? But if you're talking to your team in a way that's delivery is frustration, anger, right? It's coming off in a different way, that impact is not there. So your intentions are pure, your impact needs to be as well, right? This is where that self-management comes in, right? I say take a pill, talk to yourself for a while, get you're in that good mindset, and have those really tough conversations with your team. So ask yourself, what's your strength, what's your area of opportunity? Mine, I said my area of opportunity is self-management. I would say my strengths are self-awareness and probably relationship management. But I had somebody once, I asked them, out of what's your area of opportunity out of all the 4, right? Megan, I think I do well at all of them. Right, so doc, your actual area of opportunity is self-awareness, right? Because if you're not self-aware enough to tell me that there's not one thing on here that you can work on, self-awareness, okay? So, gave you the answer. If you were like, no, Megan, I really don't, I think I'm so great. Well, we all need to work on our self-awareness now, right? Okay, so little tip for you. Action plan, focus on weaknesses and strengths. What is your people's superpower? Don't lead with the negative, lead with positive. You are a star, I love you, you do amazing in social, you answer the phones great, my patients love you. I just see a lack of inefficiency. I need things to be done better, okay? Don't snap at them, that's something I would do, self-management, right? But focusing on those strengths are huge, right? We call it the sandwich delivery, right? I'm gonna lead with butter, do a little bit of a rough road, and then lead again with butter. Don't do it alone. Practice across all settings, okay? People in high EQ, they have better relationships as well in home life, okay? Collect feedback like we talked about. So what are you gonna do to make a daily impact in your life and make a change, right? Because at the end of the day, you're the providers. Most of you are the owners of the practice. Your name is on the door. No one else is gonna care about that practice more than you. Am I right? No one's gonna work harder than you. You show up at 150%. We can't expect our team members to show up at 150% as well if we're not leading them to great things. So when your tribe is your vibe, and we look at culture, and we look at creating infrastructure and clear goals, and we look at working on emotional intelligence and getting your team hyped up, I mean, guys, some of the most amazing feedback we've gotten, I'm not kidding, like my mom has gotten Facebook messages from girls that I've taught over the years that this has changed their lives, right? Plastic surgeons, there's no offense if I have plastics in the room, but those are the toughest audience for EQ, in my opinion, and change their lives. So it is important, and it's something you have to work on. And I promise you, if you do, not only are you gonna be happier, your team is gonna be happier, you're gonna flood out the ones that don't deserve or don't need to be there, you're gonna create your tribe, you're gonna have better patient retention, and you're going to make more money, okay? We have someone in the room who started her EQ journey about 3 years ago, doing in a dental practice about $800,000. She just hit the $4 million mark. Star. And that wasn't just with us, right? We did it, but she started her journey, she's still on it. She's amazing, Dr. Come here, she's up front. My love. So, but what I'm telling you is that it works. Like I'm not, again, there's no reason that Amazon, Allergan, all the leaders in the world are doing something on this and you can't bring it down to your level. It's so crucial and so important to create that dynamic in your practice. So with that, I would love for you guys to scan. You automatically get a 15-minute one-on-one with me. You can scan this code. You can go ahead and set up a call. And even if you're not ready to book a course with us, it's okay. I'm here to help. If I can give you some strategies, some tips and tricks on just some things that you can do tomorrow with your team, I am happy to do so. It's a complimentary consult, and I'm happy to help you guys in any way. So we're here on and off the rest of the day. Grab myself, our admin Tara's here, and Anna as well. And thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you.